Wagwan YouTube! Yes, so people, welcome to the official Mighty Crown YouTube series, the interview series. Yeah, today I got one of my favorite persons in this planet Earth. Nah, lie. Nah, lie, people. I'm so glad, I'm so excited to have this man today. You know, I wanted to, I have a couple of questions. I have a lot of questions, but I want to, make it short and spicy. Just take out the good parts. Yeah, so man is probably originally from New York City. Right now he's in LA, but let's welcome people, Young GURU!
Respect Mighty Crown.
Respect GURU. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, everything is good, man. Respect Mighty Crown, man. Respect Sammy. Respect Ninja. You know what I'm saying? Respect all the years of devotion. You know what I'm saying? Respect all the years of the culture, man. I love y'all, man.
Respect, man. Thanks for having this interview, man. Nah, lie. You're originally from New York, right? Born and grown?
I'm originally from Delaware. From
Delaware. Okay.
Yeah, Wilmington, Delaware. Yeah. It's a small city underneath of Philadelphia. For all the people in Japan, if they know what Philly is, it's a small city right underneath there. I'm really from there. And then, like all of the businesses in New York. So you go to New York to get on. You know what I mean? But it's big. It's big for the people that, come from small cities and small towns to know that, somebody from a small town could make it.
Delaware is like, I've been to Delaware. I played in one of the ghettos in Delaware town.
Yeah.
It's one of the roughest places, don't it?
Yeah. It's real out there, especially right now.
Yeah, it must be crazy out there.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So you actually you're from Delaware, but you moved to New York, or you were in New York for a...
Yeah. So what really happened was I went from Delaware down to DC.
Okay.
And then from like 92 to 99, I was in DC. Mm-hmm. And then from 99, I went to New York. So from 99 on, I was in New York.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so everything that happened with like Bad Boy and all those things, I was dealing with that in DC. So I came up underneath like Chucky Thompson and Derek Angeletti, people like that. People that made the Benjamins and people that made songs for Biggie and, like all of those joints. So I came up underneath of them. But then by 99, I was already in New York.
Okay. What was your childhood like, as like, what was like, because you've seen like the transition of a lot of like hip hop.
Right.
Like, what was like the music like in your childhood?
So you gotta understand, in Delaware, like we get in Philly, so we get in like the Philadelphia International Records. We get all that soul music. Mm. My father is from DC.
Okay.
So all the go-go and all that early like percussion music, I'm getting infused with what's going on in New Jersey because my mother's from New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So it's an infusion of all of that. So go-go is something that's like just like in my blood because of my father's lineage. You know what I'm saying? My father went to Spring High School, that's Southeast Washington, D.C. So if you understand the percussion of go-go, and then you also understand what we was doing in terms of like club music, what we call club music. People call it house music, people call it whatever they want to call it. We call it club music. So people in New Jersey, we had a different flavor. So you get that infused with all the early reggae. And I'm talking about early 80s.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So that's what my household was like growing up. Besides just the like popular records. That was like the Stevie Wonders, the Marvin Gayes, you know what I'm saying? Like the you know what I'm saying? The Isaac Hayes and all of that was there. But it was specific flavors that was coming together, that was making hip hop. You see what I'm saying? Like that was what my early experience was. So my early days was just playing parties. By the time I was like 12, 13 years old, I was already playing parties.
Okay.
But that was the flavor. That was what we latched on to. That was what the breaks was coming from. That was what the whatever was like rocking the party at a specific time, it was coming from those genres.
Okay. So you just said like you started playing music like from 13, 14. So you were spinning records already at that age?
Yeah, see, so you gotta understand something. So my father, his best friend, was the head of Parks and Recreation in my city.
Okay.
Park and Recreation was like who was over the pools, who was over the parks, and hip hop was going on in the park.
Okay.
So if I'm coming in and they got generators and they coming out at night, and one of the things that they was trying to do was like we had these like basketball midnight games.
Oh.
And it may be foreign for your audience, but let me explain it to them so they can understand.
Yeah.
A lot of violence was going on at that time. So what they said was, if we could throw on basketball games at 12 o'clock at night, at the height of midnight, all the hustlers, you know what I'm saying, all the dope boys, everybody's at the basketball game. So all the police would be there. And they could police the people and be like, yo, and what was a part of that was us doing parties in the park. My specific park was called Price's Park. So that's what we did, you know what I'm saying? And that was the beginning of me actually spinning for crowds and like being able to control crowds and being able to play music and see a response. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you've understood this, like playing music and understanding what you plan on playing and then seeing the response and having to, pivot and adjust real quick. That was my first, but that was at 13 and 14 years old.
How did you get the records?
No, my father had records. So my father was an avid record collector. Then I had a best friend whose father was an avid jazz collector. So any of the breaks that was in, you know what I'm saying, slow jams, whatever the current record of the day was, jazz records, any of that, I had those. Then I was also working for Park and Recreation, the same guy that was throwing those parties, as a lifeguard. Right? So working as a lifeguard, I was getting money, I would go down, I would buy records, I would come back, I would do parties. At the same time, people would come up to me when I'm in junior high school and be like, yo, I want you to do my party Friday night.
Oh, wow.
I'm in the lunchroom. And then I would have to get, with my older guys who had cars and who had trucks, who had speakers, who had all this stuff, and then come do the party.
Oh, I see. Wow. That's some history that a lot of people probably don't know.
Yeah, so we would do that, get the money, that money go back into more speakers, that money go back into more records, that money go back into, better sound systems. So that's how we built it up. And then that was as, a teenager.
So what made you become an engineer?
Because I was mad in around like 88, 89, I had a crew and we was trying to make records like every other crew. Around that time you get together, you get with people that, I DJ, I make beats, this person rhymes, this person does this person does that. You get a crew together. And I found a studio, but at the time it was like the engineer was moving too slow. And I found a spot that was like $50 an hour, and at that time that was like real cheap for a studio. But it was also like me saying, this guy's moving too slow because I got the idea. Back then you got to remember what hip hop was. You would sit at home and you would go through records and you would be like, this is going to be the drum break, and this is going to be the bass line, and this is going to be the main music. That's 3 different records. You know what I'm saying? You constructed it at home in your head without no equipment, no nothing. You just like, yo, we gonna rhyme over these drums, and we gonna rhyme over this bass line, and we gonna rhyme over So when you get in the studio, if it takes 3 hours to be able to put that together, you're like, yo, come on, man. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no knowledge of what's going, studio experience. I just know that I'm spending my money.
Mm.
That's when I wanted to move that guy out of the way.
Oh, I see.
And I wanted to be like, yo, let me put it together and let me figure out how we do this. And no equipment, no nothing. That's the first start of like standing in front of the pawn shop and being like, yo, I got to do these many parties to get this much money to go buy this piece of equipment. So I could do what I need to do. That was the real start of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was the real start of it. But then by the time I do that and get out of high school and I get to university, I'm at Howard University. So it's just like, I'm seeing what Puff is doing, I'm seeing what other people are doing, but they welcoming me into what they're doing. So I'm like, all right, now I see it on another level. So now I gotta move that with my crew to being on this level. Okay. That was the whole start of it. And understanding how to sell records as much as make them.
How about like the technical part, like of engineering? How you get that? Like,
so what happened was throughout the years, I was always, making records for people around my neighborhood, figuring out beat machines. This is back when it was the SP1200 days, you know what I'm saying? MPC 60 days, MPC 62, eventually like the 3000, all of those days, right? Mm-hmm. I was figuring out how to do that for people. But then I got to a level where I was like, all right, I want to really get a certificate for this so I could go out and do this for other people. Oh. So in 1996, I was lucky enough to get on the Nonchalant tour as a DJ. That tour was lucky enough to get on the Fuji tour.
Okay.
So we got on the Ready or Not tour. That's when the money got real.
See.
1996.
1996.
Right. So I come home with that money and I go to school at this place called Omega Recording Studios.
Okay, so you were basically like doing engineering and DJing at the same time then?
No, always. You gotta remember, DJ is my first love. It's my first love. It's the first thing that brought me into the music. It's the first thing that like made me even think about music as a form of expression. It's the first, DJing is the first thing.
Okay.
There's no greater feeling than putting on that record and seeing the crowd go crazy. Like
yeah, definitely.
It's
very addictive.
That's like my question to use. It's so many as a Mighty Crown fan, right? Like it's so many times and so many questions that I have to be like, what does that forward feel like? There's one specific, right? In 2007 UK, that UK Cup clash.
Yeah.
With the first round. The dub that was prepared for that was impeccable. And to feel that forward, it's like, yo, what does that feel like as a DJ? To prepare a record, to play it, to have the audience respond to you that way in the first round. And to get your point across. It's so many points that's in there of getting the point across of like, we wasn't here last year. So this is the reason, it's so many things inside of the dub, but I'm just making a point to say like, that's what it feels like. It's like that initial feeling of playing music for people.
I see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your chain now. That's definitely the craziest chain in the game. So how did you meet Hov?
So around 99, I was doing the Mad Rapper album. If those don't, people that don't remember, on the Notorious B.I.G. album, there was a character that was the Mad Rapper, right? that was actually my connect. That was Derek Angeletti. He was a producer. He did the Benjamins, you know what I'm saying? Huge record for Notorious B.I.G. He did, you know, Hypnotize, like all these records for Big. Okay. But he was also that character. But he was my friend. He was like my OG.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like when you really get into the music and get into like people pulling people up and really adhering to what other people talk about. You know what I mean? Like D-Dot didn't have to pull me up. He pulled me up at a specific time. So D-Dot pulls me up to New York in '99. And then I get with Memphis Bleek the year after that.
Okay.
And me and Memphis Bleek, that just became my brother. It's just like, I don't know how you explain that. You know, just you meet people and they just become your friends. Yeah. You know, like me and Memphis Bleek were friends, like, and we still are to this day. Like, that's just my brother. He's just a great individual. But in working with Bleek, then I met Jay.
Okay.
So when I met Jay through Bleek, it was like, you know, Jay just brought me on. And from that moment in 1999, 2000 to right now, you know, 2000, you know what I'm saying, to 2021, like it's been the same relationship. So it's just an incredible experience. It's like my older brother, you know what I mean? Like he's 4 years older than me, but just my older brother and somebody that makes sure I'm good all the time.
Okay. Wow. So like through Memphis Bleek, like you met Jay, but like he brought you in as a crew as engineer or just like family vibes? How did he bring you in as?
Yeah, it was definitely both. To answer your question, it was both. So definitely as engineer, right? So at that time, baseline was being built, and that's another thing. When you look at studios and when you look at history of music and you look at you know, the amount of music that came out of just certain specific studios and the sound of those studios, right? So if you look at reggae, right? We could go to maybe about 4 or 5 different like really specific studios that probably 80% of the music came out of. That's facts. And then we could boil that down to about 4 or 5 producers that the 80% of the music came out of. It's the same thing in hip hop. So it's just like it's the same thing in R&B. It's the same thing, you know, when you look at Stax, when you look at Motown, when you look at, you know what I'm saying? Those are specific places. So Jay brought me in as an engineer, but it was also about like the culture of what we was doing. So everything we did was at baseline, but it was also us as a crew. And that's where the family part come in. Okay. So it's always been, with me and him, it's always been family. Yeah.
Was it like a whole bunch of you guys, or is it like
man, baseline was an incredible experience because you got to remember. So we used to do like a calendar. You know what I mean? Like if you think about a record label and the calendar year. So Jay-Z used to drop always in November.
Okay.
Back then, you know, you watch if you look at the specific dates. But I also had Cameron. I also had State Property, which is Beanie Siegel and Freeway and Young Guns. And, you know what I'm saying? I also had Memphis Bleek. You know, I also had like Oskino and Sparks. You know, and Memphis Bleek had a whole crew to himself. Then you bring in Cameron's bringing Dipset. So
wow.
Yeah, that's Jimmy, and that's, you know, that's Santana, and that, you know, and then that's literally another 8 artists. So it was just a rotating thing of me recording artists. That was my job. But it was also saying like, you know, this person is ready. They got these many records, we can make an album with them, you know, that sort of thing. But the environment was always family. Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was always family.
So you were like basically like always in the studio around that era.
I can tell you right now, from 1999, maybe 2000 to about 2010, until Jay asked me to go on the road with him, I was always in the studio.
Oh wow! Yeah.
That's a good 10 years.
Yeah, that is. Like, it's like I don't know, like your guys' team is like one of the world's greatest team. Like you know, probably the fans. I would love to know like how like, you know, if you can tell like how is like the operation. Like how does this operate? Like, does Jay tell you like, all right, this is what we're gonna do? Like, it comes up with a project, or like, how does the function go?
Nah, it's always, you know, his ideas. It's not really that hard, you know. Like, and you as somebody that makes music and, you know, makes incredible dubs, and, you know, like, if the artist has a vision, my job is to help them complete their vision. That's the point. So it's almost like soldiering, and the real soldiering, right? Like the real soldiering, like when you're really in the Army and you're really in the Navy, you're really in the Air Force and Marines, soldiering to where you have a general. Jay is obviously the general. But then you can have your opinion and say to the general, like, yo, I think it should go like this. And the general is taking my opinion as the engineer, a couple other people's opinion, but then he make a decision.
I see. So it's like one order.
And then that decision of where we gonna go comes down, and then you being involved in the Army says, okay, great, take that decision, and I execute that decision to the best of my ability.
Oh, wow.
That's it. That's it.
Simple.
Very simple. It's very simple. That's how real generals work. That's how real armies work. That's how real soldiers. No egos, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, you drop all of that because you know at the end of the day that person has your best interests at heart.
You know, about the whole reggae stuff now, like you just explain like the real meaning of hip hop, I think. Like, I think that's what it is, like, you know. And then definitely hip hop was originated from reggae dancehall, right? Right.
So if you come from two things you just said, it is the essence of what we are. It's the essence of hip hop. It's the essence of taking nothing and making something out of it, right? But if you go directly in terms of musical influence, then yes, of course, you have Hurt, who is coming from Jamaica, who is bringing, you know, that whole tradition over here. So not only the tradition of, you know, if you go all the way back to sounds that would actually put speakers on trucks and drive through the island, right? That, from that tradition, all the way to New York, where Hurt, you know, is famous. Hurt is filmed for having speakers in the back of his car and he's just driving through playing shit. And it's just like incredible. Not only that part of it, it's hip hop when you just are like, yo, I'm gonna take from all these different forms and all these different expressions and make it into my expression. That's the essence of hip hop.
Okay.
So anybody can express that no matter where they at on the globe. And that's the power of it. So it comes from us, and it comes from a very like American expression, but it don't mean that it can't get expressed in South America. It only means that it can't get expressed in Canada, right? We see Drake, right? It don't mean that it can't get expressed in South Africa. It don't mean that it can't get expressed in, you know, the Middle East. It don't mean that it can't get expressed in Japan. It don't mean that everybody's expression is through this lens of the culture of what we call hip hop. That's what makes it so special.
So tell me something, like back in the days, you don't have internet like nowadays. How did you get all that information?
Nah, you had to dig for records.
Oh,
that was the thing. Yo, I would wake up and I would be at the record store at like 6 in the morning, 6 a.m. And I might not leave until about 5, 6 p.m. And it might have felt like 2 hours because I was just going through records, trying to find records, trying to figure out what everybody's thing was. You know, me being in my area, it was like I get to watch Jazzy Jeff, I get to watch Cash Money, I get to watch, Fresh Going Mids, I get to watch like those people perform, Tough Crew. You know, that whole thing, and figuring out what records they was using. But that was a whole digging process. There was no internet. There was nobody told you what the records are. And a lot of DJs back in that time, they would scratch out the record, the cover. Like even the part that once they put it on, you know, the little circle thing in the middle, they would scratch it out. So you didn't know what it was. Yeah, nah. It was a real adventure. You know, that was the fun of it. That was the like figuring out what records people use.
My next question is how did reggae dancehall came into your life?
That's from childhood.
Okay.
So you gotta understand, like I'm born
from the record digging days then.
Yeah, I'm born in 1974. So you gotta remember Bob Marley was in Wilmington, Delaware in I think 83.
Okay.
Yeah, like you gotta remember Bob spent time in Delaware. Look at the documentaries. So where I'm from, Wilmington, Delaware. Bob spent time there. It was a big reggae community there, like huge, and people don't know, you know, huge reggae community. But again, back in those days, it was like those older heads were culture. So it was a little bit, you know, sacrilegious for us to play the dance. You know, the Batman talk was not accepted amongst real roster. It was not. It was like, you know, people glamorize it, you know what I'm saying, nowadays.
Yeah.
But it was not accepted. It was not accepted. It was like, you know, for me to listen to what I wanted to listen to, it was sneaking to listen to it.
Okay.
It was almost like sneaking to listen to a Richard Pryor album or Eddie Murphy album, or, you know, like you didn't want them to hear you listening to certain Batman talk. You know, like, you know, if for real, like this is, you know, the talk of people that had uncles that were real roster. That was like, no, that was illegal. You know, in the household at that time.
I see.
But it was just, you know, we loved it. So it was just like that was the thing from like early 80s, and then especially during the 90s. I think what dancehall did in the 90s, it was just like me having to play every single week. And always having to be up on the latest record, always having to be up on the latest rhythm. And I used to live on Florida Avenue in Washington, D.C. And it was a shop across the street, right by the post office, that used to sell 45s, reggae 45s. And I would just go there every week, and I would just see whatever the new rhythm was, and I would just, you know, grab it.
Okay.
You know, again, out of every rhythm, you might listen to 8 of them. And if you only have a certain amount of money, the 4 main ones, you know, you will buy those, right? You buy like the 4 main ones. And then like, you know, like the other 8, you know what I'm saying? You might be like, all right, whatever. But that's how I got into it. And then
DJ.
in DC, there was a mixture. So you would have a club that was like, let's say Granny Fox was playing all reggae. And GURU might come in to play an hour of hip hop. And then there might be 2 hours of a go-go band. That was the normal party when we came up in DC in the 90s.
Okay.
But you're exposed, even if I didn't have the record, Granny Fox had the record. And I was exposed to certain sounds. And then my biggest thing was like, as a hip hop DJ, I was always into battles. So then I got into clashes.
Okay.
So then it was like a whole other thing with Clash. So Clash was like the thing that I was like the most excited about. You know what I'm saying? Like that when you see that as a kid, and you just like, you watch a Clash and it's just like, people dead, and this, nothing's better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Wow, I see.
Yeah.
Like, so you were listening to like all those sound system cassette tapes and stuff.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So you know, again, for us in DC, nothing's bigger than Stone Love. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain time, nothing is bigger than that. That's the biggest thing in the world. But then we start watching other sound systems come up from late 80s, early 90s. You know, we start watching other sound systems come up, and we listening and we you know, appreciate certain sound systems. So that's where the appreciation come from, and then that's where the clash and appreciation come from, and then that's where the I don't know, all the way to understanding and saying why I can boastfully, you know, go around the world and say Mighty Crown is my favorite sound, and say nobody cut dub like Mighty Crown. And I can say nobody. No, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. So over the years, you know, as I've watched a lot of clashes and I've watched a lot of like people work in that particular field, I can say that strong and be like, yo, I'll put my money on, like I put my money on Mighty Crown any day.
How did you know about us? Like through, like, how did you find us? Like,
watching clashes. You know, it was probably all the way. It was probably early 2000s. But I tell you what it was. Around like 2004, I was like, yo, they might be coming. And it was the 2007 that I was like, no, but hands down, done. Nobody better. Because you know, again, respect to all the sounds. You know what I'm saying? Like Black Cat and At Ease, and you know, like just so many different people. But the year is like you spanked At Ease. And for us in New York, it was like, oh shit. You know, like that was the real thing. So it was just, so you never know who's in the crowd.
Yeah, that's true.
You never know who's in the crowd and who's watching you, you know, and who understands and who's like, you know, respect dub and respect the art form, and that's what to answer your question. To say when did I understand? It was a gradual thing, but then I was just like, no, they my favorite.
Normal.
But it's different, and that's the thing that people don't understand. Where I respect so much, where it's just like, okay, you could have a certain thing that I do as a DJ, right? And I'm just like, nobody can do that. But to be able to clash and to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna go to this specific town, and I'm gonna have this specific DJ say my sound system's name for this specific night, and to only use that for one night is incredible. Like the preparation that has to go into cutting the dub is different. So that's what you respect. You respect the preparation. You respect the art form of what's being said. You know, you respect the art form of how you play it. You respect the art form of what you say before it. I've also seen Mighty Crown where it's not a clash and it's just a dance. And it's like, you know, to get the people from this era to this era and to have a good feeling. You know, I've seen it in a lot of different places. So for me, that's what makes me say, okay, they're my favorite sound of all time.
Oh, give thanks, man.
Yeah.
You ever like been to like Mighty Crown dance? Like if the
yeah. I've been to a couple. But see, I sit in the back. Like you would never know I was there. You would never know I was there. I'm always in the back. You know what I'm saying? The only time I think you might have known that I was there was when I was saying, yo, come to Brooklyn when we were doing the Jay-Z show, and I wanted you to come. Yeah, just to the show. You know, No, I'm in the back. I'm a fan. I'm a fan, and I don't like put myself above nobody. I don't want to be on stage. There's already enough people on stage, and I want to enjoy it from the fan standpoint, and from remembering the songs, and from, you know, I appreciate the way it's presented. So from like the battle to like the way you introduce songs to the fact that Simon and Sammy can like at any time, one could be DJing and one could be, one could be on the turntable. And it's like, it flip-flops, you know what I'm saying? Or Ninja could be doing it. And it's just like, it's almost seamless. That's a special thing. Like I noticed all of that.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, I noticed all of that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, you sound like a scientist to me right now. Yo, like what like, what I could say, like just listening to what you say, like for this couple minutes now, what I could say is like, well, you're the man who like, from the hip hop scene, who as you told me the real meaning of hip hop, like the struggle that you guys came through, right?
Yeah.
So what I could say is like, being in the Jamaican community, not being Jamaican and playing reggae music and then battling against the top sounds, it wasn't easy at all for us. It wasn't, it was crazy. Going through was like, a lot of people be like, yo, man, you're not even Jamaican, move your bumper clad. Yo, belong in this, you're just a little gimmick, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't know, like we love this thing so much, we just act like we never really, feel the pressure against us not being black or not being Jamaican. But the music, the passion we had was just so strong. That really didn't even matter with, like, at first, like when we really didn't know the business, it was really tough for us. It was like, yo, man, what the fuck, man? I'm just trying to play music and, try to make everybody enjoy. But, there was so much ego, the jealousy, the whole fuckery part of the business.
Yes.
And
yes.
then we had to go through that.
All who know bias, to and out of air goes. I understand.
Yeah.
It's not easy for the Japanese and partners.
Boy, this man knows the whole fucking clash of Mighty Crown. So your favorite clash was like, what was your favorite clash?
Oh, too many. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. It's too many. It's too many to say. My favorite of all time, there's too many to say. It's certain rounds and there's certain things like, I was proud in like 2007, you know what I'm saying, with the driver dub. I think that's one of the, you know what I'm saying? Like, you go back and watch like basketball players and like, people, what's their best move or whatever, right? And they got so many things. So yeah, 2007 driver dub, as a Mighty Crown fan, I'm super proud of that moment. But I'm also super proud of like moments against Rodigan. You know what I'm saying? Well, we know Rodigan's gonna come with these certain dubs that nobody else can get. And he has them, but to still stand up against him and to like, I've watched certain ones where it's just like he plays something and immediately you respond. And it's just like, yo, that's the perfect dub to play against that dub. You know what I'm saying? So to play against Rodigan. I also love when people start calling out country. It's like, yo, the thing that you would say to be like, yo, like, okay, you calling out country, but like, yo, you acting like, yo, the city ain't shit. Like don't do that. Don't disrespect. You know what I'm saying? The actual city. And the way that you would come against Black Cat, and the way that you would come against, like, you know what I'm saying, just Immortal, and the way that you would come, like, it was just, it's too many for me to name. To say, like, yo, what's my favorite, like, moment of all time? It's too many. It's too many. It's just a representation of, like, over and over again, like, just Mighty Crown never let me down.
Who is your favorite dancehall artist? Reggae and dancehall artist?
Tennyson, of all time, Tennyson.
So would you put Tennyson as like the reggae artist side or dancehall?
No, just
just reggae and dancehall artists.
Yeah, just reggae. You know what I'm saying? I would say dancehall more probably. Nobody busts more artists than Bounty.
Okay,
that's a fact.
Hold on. You just mentioned Tenor Saw. What was so unique for you about Tenor Saw?
What sound in one big line? You for motion, I play, the other three keep calm. It's the voice.
His voice.
The voice, yeah, the voice. It was voice. It was so like not high pitched to where you was like you didn't like it. It was so high pitched to it was sweet. You know, it was just the voice. You know what I'm saying? In dancehall, you know, Super Cat maybe Super Cat. You know, a bad man, Super Cat.
Yeah,
it's a bad man.
Do you catch up with like the latest dancehall artists?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, who's one of your favorite? Like,
I'm trying to think of who has the latest song that my son is probably like on right now. It's so hard because you know this COVID just had me like disconnected from everything. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like the COVID just like really just went hard because my thing is like going into the club and like really feeling who's hot. You know what I'm saying? Versus like I could get it from so many different people. So 4 or 5 different people from Jamaica might hit me and be like, "This is the person. This is the person. This is the person," and I'll be like, "Okay, that's your man." But I want to see what it. How it performed in the club.
Performance, yeah.
And last year we didn't get that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's hard for me to you know what I mean, to judge right now. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know because we haven't had a real test. You know, and we haven't had radio and we haven't had like the real test of like, you know, who's really bubbling for young. I'm talking about 17, 18-year-old. You know, like what's really moving. Not me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my 50s. You know what I'm saying? And I understand it. And it's good. But I'm talking about who's really moving for young Brooklyn, for young 17, 18-year-old Brooklyn. The only way I know that is through feeling it, through being with them. Because when I go in there, it's love, and it's just like, yo, it's just like, but we couldn't do it this year because of the COVID.
I see.
Yeah, it was weird.
You mentioned about your son. I think your son is an artist, right?
Yeah. Nah, he's a rap artist.
He's a rap artist.
Yeah. It's always love. Just like letting them live and letting them do what they want to do, and like, you know, seeing what it looked like from nowadays. And he's the one that keeps me up on like new artists, and you know, again, he listens to everything. So he's, you know, again, he's half American, half Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? So then not only is it reggae music and drill music and rap music, but he's also into, you know what I'm saying, all the Nigerian artists.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah. So it's like that's the mixture of my son. Yeah.
Yeah. So he, like, does he ask you for like some beats and, you know?
All the time.
I need you to mix a song for me.
Yeah, all the time. You know what I'm saying? His Christmas presents is microphones and converters, and you know what I mean? Like, but it's dope, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the kids, you know, getting into the music and doing what they want to do it's a beautiful time.
Yeah, that sounds really beautiful, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Oh, I'm getting into this VR, man. You know what I'm saying? Virtual reality. So I got a company right now, and I would love to do like a Mighty Crown experience. You know, that's a beautiful thing that we could do to bring the culture to people, but you know, through the Oculus, through different VR, different AR experiences. I know people are just now getting into it and understanding what that is, but it's a whole other experience that you could, you know, live off of, and people can really experience like what it is to be in different rooms all across the world at the same time. And it's not only through like having an Oculus, it's also through your phone, also through the laptop. But I got a company called Collimation, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing VR experiences.
Ooh.
So
to explain to me a little bit, like
So what it is that, you know, everybody's getting into this VR and this AR space, And because of COVID again, you had a bunch of people that were home and they're now getting into seeing concerts on their laptop, seeing concerts on their phone, seeing concerts in the Oculus goggles. So what my company does is we do a 3D experience and we do a 2D experience at the same time. So anything you want to do in terms of DJing, anything in terms you want to do in terms of just having a 3D experience and a 2D experience at the same time, but still representing who you are. So we can have, you know, Mighty Crown wherever they want to be, in Jamaica, in Japan, you know, anywhere you want to be, in the universe, you know, in outer space, anything you want to do, playing music. We can have people behind you. We can have all the greats as you play the songs. You know, whoever the artist is, they could appear behind you. We like anything you want to do in the VR space, that's what we're here to do. We can program all of that. And that's where I'm going with it. So, you know, at the same time that we still creating music and I'm still, you know, in that space, it's about us expanding and understanding that like now it's time for us to take music to a whole different level.
Wow. That's some moves right there.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's crazy. So it's your company.
No, absolutely. It's called Collimation. It's my
Collimation. I'm gonna have to dig into that.
Yeah, go back on my Instagram a couple of pages, you know what I'm saying? And you'll see the information. We got a nice little write-up in New York Times. We got a nice little write-up in a couple of magazines. Collimation is here, man. Like, we providing the network and we providing the background for all the artists. So anything you want to do, just let me know.
Okay, thanks. Well, people, today we got the man, Young Guru. You know, it was really nice. You know, this is just like, to me, this is just like a beginning for me, man. There's so much of this stuff that I would like to ask you. And
no, absolutely, brother.
So much stuff, but like, we keeping it right here for today.
Anytime you need me, let me know. I'm here.
Give thanks. Young Guru.
Mighty Crown fan, you know. Yes, sir.